Ryan Cade had exactly 3 rules for survival as a private security contractor in the coalition. Don't ask questions. Don't get emotionally involved. Don't trust anyone who pays too well for a job that sounds too easy. He was about to break all 3. The job offer had come through his handler on Nexus Station, 6 months of personal protection detail for a Voltorian dignitary. The pay was astronomical, nearly triple his usual rate. The client wanted someone human specifically, someone with military experience and a reputation for discretion. Ryan had those qualifications in spades. 10 years in Earth's colonial marines, 3 more as a freelance security specialist. He'd guarded corporate executives through hostile takeovers, escorted diplomats through war zones, and once spent 4 months protecting a scientist who developed a fuel formula that half the galaxy wanted to steal. He knew how to keep his mouth shut and his clients alive. What he didn't know, what his handler had conveniently failed to mention, was that his new client was Princess Zarakai, 4th daughter of the Voltorian Emperor and the most controversial member of the royal family. Ryan found that out when he arrived at the private estate on Voltoria's moon Selene and came face to face with the most beautiful and furious woman he'd ever seen. She stood in the entrance hall of the sprawling compound, her orange-gold skin gleaming in the bioluminescent lighting, her blonde hair pulled back in a severe braid that somehow made her look both regal and dangerous. Her golden eyes, larger than human eyes, adapted for Voltoria's dimmer sunlight, fixed on him with an intensity that made him want to check for weapons. "You're the bodyguard." Her voice carried the melodic quality of all Voltorians, but there was steel underneath the music. "You're human." "Captain Ryan Cade, Your Highness." Ryan executed a professional bow, not too deep, not too shallow. "I was told you specifically requested human security personnel. I requested someone who wouldn't be compromised by Voltorian politics or bribery," Zarakai corrected sharply. "Someone outside the usual power structures, that your human is almost incidental." She circled him slowly, evaluating. "How old are you, Captain?" 35, ma'am." "Practically ancient for your species. Can you still fight?" Ryan felt a flicker of irritation but kept his expression neutral. "I can hold my own, Your Highness. Against Voltorians, we're stronger than humans, faster, better adapted for combat. With respect, ma'am, I've trained with Kelmorians who could bench press a shuttle. I know how to compensate for physical disadvantages." Something that might have been approval flashed in her eyes. "Good, because they're going to try to kill me, Captain Cade. Probably within the next 72 hours. And when they do, I need to know you won't run." Ryan's training kept him from reacting visibly, but his mind was already cataloging threats, evaluating the compound's security, calculating response times. "Who's they, Your Highness? If I knew that for certain, I wouldn't need you." Zarakai moved to the window, gazing out at Selene's barren landscape. "But I have my suspicions. And before this is over, Captain, you're going to have to decide whose truth you believe, mine or theirs." That was the first sign that this job was going to be different from anything Ryan had done before. The assassination attempt came on the second night. Ryan was doing a perimeter check, a habit from his Marine days that he'd never broken when the compound's security sensors went offline. All of them simultaneously. A cascading failure that was statistically impossible unless someone had designed it to happen. He was moving toward Zarakai's quarters before his conscious mind finished processing the threat. He found her standing in the center of her bedroom, fully dressed despite the late hour, a Voltorian plasma pistol in her hand. She didn't look surprised to see him. "They're in the compound," she said calmly. "4 of them, professional assassins, likely Voltorian military with their identities scrubbed. They'll breach this room in approximately 90 seconds. How do you—" Ryan started, then cut himself off. "Questions later. Survival now. Your safe room, where is it?" "There isn't one. Every high-value residence has a safe room, Your Highness. Not when the people who want you dead are the same ones who designed your security." Zarakai moved to her closet, pulling out body armor that looked military-grade. "We fight, Captain, or we die. Your choice." Ryan drew his sidearm, a human-made kinetic weapon that most coalition species considered primitive, and positioned himself between Zarakai and the door. "I was hired to keep you alive. Fighting is implied in the job description." "Good." She sealed the armor and took a position on the opposite side of the room, creating a crossfire zone. "Because I need you to survive the next 5 minutes. After that, I need you to help me expose the biggest conspiracy in Voltorian history." "Your Highness, I think you need to—" The door exploded inward. Ryan's training took over. He fired 3 times before his conscious mind registered targets, center mass, controlled bursts exactly as he'd been taught. The first assassin went down, his Voltorian armor absorbing some of the impact, but not enough. The second rolled sideways, bringing up a plasma rifle. Zarakai's pistol discharged with a sound like thunder. The second assassin's head snapped back and he collapsed. 2 down, 2 to go. The third and fourth came through the windows simultaneously, shattering the crystalline glass in an explosion of glittering shards. Ryan pivoted, firing at the closer target, while Zarakai engaged the other. The assassin Ryan was fighting was fast, inhumanly fast, even for a Voltorian. Enhanced, Ryan's mind cataloged. Military-grade augmentation. The assassin closed the distance before Ryan could fire again, and suddenly Ryan was fighting hand-to-hand with someone who outweighed him by 50 pounds and had reflexes that made his own look sluggish. A strike to Ryan's ribs sent him stumbling. He blocked the follow-up barely and delivered a knee strike that would have crippled a human. The assassin grunted but didn't slow. Then Zarakai was there, moving with a speed that made the enhanced assassin look slow. She struck once, a precise blow to the back of the assassin's neck, and the attacker dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The fourth assassin was already dead, smoking plasma burns across his chest. Ryan stood there, breathing hard, his ribs screaming protest. "What the hell was that?" "That," Zarakai said, her voice unnaturally calm, "was the Royal Guard, or former members of it. The elite soldiers sworn to protect the royal family." She knelt beside one of the bodies, pulling back the black combat mask to reveal navy blue skin and the distinctive tattoos of the Imperial military. "The same soldiers who should have been defending me just tried to kill me." "Why?" Zarakai looked up at him, and in her golden eyes, Ryan saw something he hadn't expected: fear. Not for herself, but for him, for what she was about to tell him. "Because I know the truth, Captain Cade. And the Voltorian Empire will do anything, kill anyone to keep that truth buried." They fled the compound within minutes, taking a small atmospheric shuttle that Zarakai had apparently kept fueled and ready for exactly this scenario. As Seleni's surface fell away beneath them, Ryan performed triage on his ribs, bruised, not broken, and tried to make sense of what had just happened. Talk, he said finally. No more cryptic warnings. What truth is worth sending the royal guard to assassinate a princess? Zarakai set the shuttle on autopilot and turned to face him. In the dim cockpit lighting, her orange-gold skin seemed to glow from within. "What do you know about the Founding War?" she asked. Ryan searched his memory. Basic coalition history. 400 years ago, the Volturian Empire unified the warring factions of this sector, established the coalition, brought peace to 24 species. The Founding War was the last major conflict before unification. That's the official version, Zarakai said. The story we tell ourselves, the noble lie we built an empire on. She pulled up a holographic display showing star maps and historical records. The truth is different, darker. She manipulated the display, highlighting a series of planets. These worlds were part of the Kethril Alliance, a multi-species coalition that existed before the Volturian Empire. They were peaceful, democratic, technologically advanced. In many ways, they were more progressive than we were. Ryan caught the past tense. The Volturian Empire didn't unify the sector through diplomacy and mutual cooperation, Zarakai said quietly. We conquered it. The Founding War wasn't a liberation, it was genocide. We systematically destroyed the Kethril Alliance, world by world, species by species. Then we rewrote history to make ourselves the heroes. Ryan stared at the maps, at the highlighted planets. You're saying the entire foundation of the coalition is a lie? Not just a lie, a cover-up of mass murder, billions of beings killed, entire species extinct, and the Volturian royal family, my family, ordered it all. How do you know this? Zarakai's expression was haunted. I found the archives, the real ones, not the sanitized versions in the public records. My tutor, Professor Sekthar, he was old. 300 years old, and he'd been alive during the Founding War. He told me where to look, what to search for. Then he was killed in what they called an accident 3 months ago. She pulled up images, ancient text, video footage, military logs. Ryan's translation implant struggled with the archaic Volturian script, but the images spoke for themselves. Burning cities, refugee ships destroyed in orbit, mass graves. When Professor Sekthar died, I knew they'd come for me next, Zarakai continued. I started making preparations, hired someone outside the usual Volturian security networks, someone who wouldn't be bound by 400 years of propaganda and loyalty to the Empire. She looked directly at Ryan. Someone human whose species knows what it's like to have a dark history. Ryan felt something cold settling in his stomach. And now that I know this, I'm compromised. They'll come for me too. Yes. No apology, no sugar-coating, just honesty. You used me. I hired you to protect me, and I'm paying you an obscene amount of money to do it, Zarakai corrected. But yes, by virtue of doing your job, you've now become a liability to the Empire. I'm sorry for that. If you want to leave, I can drop you at the next station with enough credits to disappear. New identity, new life, far from Volturian space. Ryan was quiet for a long moment, watching the stars streak past the viewport. He thought about his 3 rules: don't ask questions, broken; don't get emotionally involved, about to be broken; don't trust anyone who pays too well for a job that sounds too easy, shattered beyond recognition. What's your plan? He asked finally. Zarakai blinked, clearly surprised. You're not leaving. I asked what your plan is. I'm going to expose the truth. I have copies of the archives, encoded and distributed across multiple secure locations. I have contact with sympathetic journalists, historians, even some members of the Coalition Council who have suspected something was wrong for years. I'm going to release everything and let the galaxy decide what to do with 400 years of lies. They'll kill you, Ryan said flatly. The moment this goes public, your own family will disavow you. You'll be branded a traitor. Every assassin in the Empire will be hunting you. I know. You'll lose everything, your title, your wealth, your place in society. I know, Zarakai repeated. But Captain Cade, how can I live with myself if I don't? How can I wear a crown built on mass graves and pretend I don't see the blood on it? Ryan looked at this alien princess, this woman who just destroyed his carefully maintained neutrality with an inconvenient truth and made a decision that would probably get him killed. All right, he said. I'm in, but we do this smart. No suicide missions, no martyrdom. We release the information in a way that protects you, that gives you a chance to survive the fallout. Why? Zarakai asked softly. Why would you risk your life for this? For me? You barely know me. Ryan thought about his own planet's history. The wars, the genocides, the atrocities humans had committed against each other. He thought about the lies governments told, the truths they buried, the whistleblowers who'd risked everything to expose corruption. Because someone has to, he said finally. Because the powerful always protect their secrets with violence, and if good people don't stand up to them, the lies just continue forever. He met her eyes. And because you're right, I know what it's like to have a dark history. Earth's done terrible things. The difference is we've acknowledged them. We've taught our children about our mistakes so they wouldn't repeat them. Your empire is still pretending it never happened. Zarakai's eyes glistened. In Voltorians, tears were more viscous than human tears, and they caught the light like diamonds. Thank you, Captain. Ryan, he corrected. If we're going to overthrow 400 years of propaganda together, you should probably use my first name. She smiled, a real smile, the first he'd seen from her. Zara, my friends call me Zara. Okay, Zara. Ryan pulled up the navigation display. Where are we going? Epsilon Station. It's on the border of Coalition space, relatively lawless, hard for the Empire to operate openly. I have contacts there. We can coordinate the information release, get protection. And then, Ryan interrupted, and then we see if the galaxy can handle the truth. The next 72 hours were a blur of narrow escapes, encrypted communications, and an increasing number of Imperial ships searching for one missing princess and her human bodyguard. They made it to Epsilon Station with hours to spare. Zara's contacts were waiting, a motley collection of investigative journalists, dissident academics, and coalition officials who'd suspected the official history was incomplete but never had proof. Ryan watched as Zara presented the evidence. The room fell silent as the archives played, images and testimony from the founding war, unfiltered and horrifying. When it was over, several people were crying. If we release this, one of the coalition officials said, a Kelmorian with gray-streaked fur, it will destabilize the entire empire, maybe the entire coalition. There could be riots, succession movements, even war. If we don't release it, Zara countered, we're complicit in the lie. We're saying that some truths are too dangerous to know. That some victims don't deserve justice, even posthumously. She's right, Ryan said. All eyes turned to him. The human bodyguard who had no official standing in this room but had somehow become part of this conspiracy. Lies have a cost. Maybe hiding the truth prevents chaos in the short term, but it guarantees something worse in the long term. It guarantees that the same atrocities can happen again because we never learned from them. The Kelmorian official studied him. You speak from experience, human. My species has made every mistake you can imagine, Ryan admitted. We've committed genocides, enslaved each other, nearly destroyed our own planet, but we survived because eventually we faced what we'd done. We taught our history, even the shameful parts, especially the shameful parts. That's how you prevent them from repeating. There was a long silence. Then the Kelmorian nodded. Release it, all of it. Let the galaxy decide. The information went public on 1,000 channels simultaneously. Within hours, the coalition networks were in chaos. Within days, there were protests on a dozen Voltorian worlds. Within weeks, the Emperor himself was forced to address the Galactic Assembly. Ryan watched the speech from a safe house on the other side of the galaxy. The Emperor stood before the Coalition Council, his ancient face grave, and did something unprecedented in 400 years of Voltorian rule. He admitted the truth. Our empire, the Emperor said, his voice carrying to billions of beings across known space, was built on a lie, on conquest disguised as liberation, on genocide disguised as unification. My ancestors committed atrocities, and for 4 centuries we have hidden them. He paused. My daughter, Princess Zarakai, has shown tremendous courage in bringing these truths to light. She has reminded us that justice delayed is not justice at all. That some debts can never be fully repaid, but must nonetheless be acknowledged. Beside Ryan, Zara watched her father's speech with tears streaming down her face. The Voltorian Empire will take the following actions, the Emperor continued. We will open all historical archives. We will establish reparations for the descendants of the Kethril Alliance. We will reform our government to include representatives from all coalition species in positions of true power, not merely advisory roles. And we will teach our children the truth about the founding war so that such atrocities are never committed again. When the speech ended, Zara turned off the display and sat in silence. You did it, Ryan said quietly. You changed the galaxy. We did it, Zara corrected. I couldn't have survived without you, wouldn't have had the courage to see it through without you. So what now? Do you go back, reclaim your title? Zara laughed, but it sounded sad. I think my title is forfeit. I'm the princess who destroyed an empire's mythology. Some will see me as a hero, others as a traitor. Either way, I can't go back to the life I had before. What will you do? She looked at him, her golden eyes holding his. I think I'll stay with you if you'll have me. You said yourself someone has to stand up to power. Someone has to tell the truth when it's inconvenient. Seems like there's plenty of work for a disgraced princess and her bodyguard. Ryan felt something settle in his chest. Something that felt dangerously like hope. I was hired as your bodyguard, then you showed me the truth. Kind of hard to go back to just doing protection details after helping overthrow 400 years of propaganda. Is that a yes? Ryan extended his hand, that simple human gesture that had somehow become their thing. Yeah, Zara, that's a yes. She took his hand, her grip strong and steady. Human and Voltorian working together to build something better than what came before. Outside the safe house, the galaxy was in turmoil. The Voltorian Empire was fracturing, reforming, struggling to rebuild itself on a foundation of truth instead of lies. There would be chaos, conflict, growing pains, but there would also be justice. Finally, after 400 years, there would be justice. And for a human bodyguard and an alien princess who'd risked everything for an inconvenient truth, that was enough. That was everything.